shortly here. On Nepal, actually, TPU Esports versus Kenage. Keep in mind, this is the intermediate group, so this will be diamond players. Um, yeah, we are going into Nepal village first. Moxie, what will your predictions be?
Well, I hope Snarky sticks with top. I hate playing against tops, but I love watching them play.
Indeed, it can be quite fun, though. Is it really strong on village?
I mean, I would admit that it's strong everywhere. It's a turret. You set it up, and it hits stuff for you. It's technically a legal aimbot.
The same as the Sordos one, but we are indeed going to see some swaps around. Are we gonna see actually 2-2 coming in for Kinagay here?
I think they're
Actually, for both
anticipating
sides.
the Farah.
They are, and indeed both times are. Teams with a hit scan, both teams with 2-2. When we're going to see the first fight coming in XD on the Winston.
Oh no, Architect's down early!
Architect indeed our earliest. Snarky just finding a lot of value here on the McCree, getting 2 picks early, the main healer and the main tank, which is going to force TPO to pull back and is going to get Kenegay first control point take.
Swaps are coming in. EXD off the Winston onto the Reinhardt, and this does indeed signal a whole team swap. We will be seeing the free composition come out.
Indeed, goats it is. And this should make it a lot more difficult here for Kenegay to get value here out of this 2-2 composition. As we see, TPU...
There's no Farah for the McCree to shoot out now.
Indeed, TPU just straight up moving component, though Snarky getting in the backline with the flashbang, gonna find Architect. However, we do see the swap. The Hydroon coming in is not gonna do anything apart from reloading. TPU is still on point, even though they're only with 5. It's going to be difficult for Architect to get back to the point, but it still is TPU holding on to this point, just kind of with the sustain. The Nano comes in on Mick, is going to try to push in, doesn't really find much value in. What is Life getting the pick off on Dr. Mick dropping as well, even though What is Life gets taken out. The picks are looking so much in favor of TPU side now, and the point percentage is looking very strong in the side of TPU.
Well, I think What is Life is just contemplating and begging the enemy team to don't hurt me no more at the moment. And the enemy team say no.
It is indeed going to look like it's going to still stay with this 2-2 composition, thinking that they're gonna find a lot of value, but it's going to be quite difficult with the Hanzo and the McCree to just kind of push through this. XD taking a very aggressive position, just charging up the Shatter here, does have it already, is going to probably be looking for it quite soon. Both of the teams kind of just poking away at a shield.
It's going to be so hard for Kennedy to get through this doorway. They did manage it though.
Throwing in the Shatter, the Diva Bomb coming over the roof, but not really anywhere that's useful.
Oh,
Doctor's
no.
gonna, however, get picked off by the return bomb by a Hiccup. And it is looking indeed quite strong in the direction of TPO once again.
I mean, at what point do you swap off the DPS? We're seeing Snarky swap off the McCree, as I said, and go Doomfist.
Doomfist not the worst pick against the Goats composition, but will it be enough? Graf comes in. Dragon as well is going to split off the team just a bit. However, it's not going to be enough. We do see picks coming in still on TPO side from BBC and XD. However, Kenegay going towards the point is going to force TPU to come back, and Anthony comes in. The Shatter as well is going to find Mick out of position. Doctor now without any defense, and the picks are just looking very strongly towards TPU. We're seeing the stagger picks. Chino on the wrecking ball is going to fling around on point, but over time ticking down.
Celebration trans.
Indeed, TPU taking the very first point here on Nepal.
That was a dominant showing from TPO Esports. I mean, Kenegate, I think they showed that they were strong on the McCree. They were able to get the McCree into the backline and just kind of deal with the supports of TPO Esports. But once TPO Esports find that foothold, got the point percentage, Kenegate just couldn't really force them out of it.
Indeed, they could not. The Goats composition, indeed, just a sustainer of it. Having them just be on point, even 5 versus 6, not really managing to pry them away from that very enclosed space, which is indeed very dangerous to move in on because you've got so much close range damage coming in.
Well, then it's questionable that we look at Kennedy's lineup, and we're still seeing the DPS. We're still seeing the Pharah. We're still seeing the McCree, which did prove a little bit stronger, but it got countered pretty easily.
Yes, indeed. Though TPO going for the Windsor Goats, and it's going to be a bunker on the side of Kennegay, and it's going to be XD trying to jump in, but Chino's going to find the boop off, and this is looking like a lot of picks at this moment for Kennegay. Chino finding a second one. UFO, however, is going to drop off the point. BBC Radio just trying to get as much value as he can, trying to just get the ultimate up, but it is going to be Kennegay taking here the second point as it is a bit more open.
Well, this Pharah, Witcher 13, is just finding all of the value, gets 3 kills off in quick succession. Not really much to deal with a Pharah other than what is life.
Indeed, we are gonna see TPU just starting to move back in again and going for a bit of a rotation. Dropping
going for the drop
low,
down.
going into the back here. Though Chino is waiting around the back, is not with his team at the moment. It's
They're
almost
looking for
going
the
to be
boop.
a point flip.
Oh,
The
no!
boop comes in, though XD does manage to get back in. Everyone still on the point. No one's gonna get booped off, and Chino dropping very low at the moment is barely gonna get kept up. However, Architect is gonna get booped, and What Is Life is going to find Mick here first. Snarky, however, also getting the trade for Architect. Hazy fighting UFO, but Snarky with the double pick, the mech as well with the Deadeye.
They do
Looking
get
very
Doctor.
strong.
But look, Witcher 13 again, uncontested Pharah. Flying the
Pharah
friendly
finding a lot of
skies, and the sky is not so friendly for Kennedy at the moment.
Now that the
Nope,
point is a lot
TPO
more open,
esports.
it's looking a lot more difficult for TPO to really find the value here.
When did they start trying to counter the Pharah? That's twice now that they've been... 3 of them have been killed in one fight by the Pharah.
Yes, indeed, the rotation comes in, and again, they're gonna be jumping towards Snarky here, and with only a Mercy for healing, if you jump them one enough, that's going to provide a lot of value. What Is Life is going to pop the Transcendence, the Bongos come in as well, is going to get picked off quite quickly. Mick as well, giving up his life for it. Snarky still on this side of the map now, on the side of TPO Gaming. Is still popping in a bit of damage. We are still seeing picks. The counter going towards 99%. Snarky going straight up on point. The pick still coming in from XD, doing a lot of work here. Is going to force.
No, look for Chino,
Spinner.
look for Chino. Oh, they managed to find them before they get booped.
Chidwidi trying to get the boop, doesn't manage, and it is going to be the point flip going towards TPO now. And
I mean,
Mick swapping
that
off the
helps
Orisa.
Yeah, the hamster not quite as sneaky as he would like to be. You do hear that roll, you do hear the ball coming in, and you go, oh, yeah, something's behind.
Indeed, so if we look now at the top, we see a lot of ultimates for both teams. And the graph comes in first. This is going to
Oh, no,
let
BBC
XD
Radio
go
was
in.
off
The
the
bomb as
side.
well. The bomb
And
finds
the bomb is
three!
free!
The
What
bomb
is
is
it with
huge.
the
Hiccup
ball
with
and bombs?
the Diva bomb just getting the huge opening here, investing 3 ultimates here for XD, also having popped Primal Rage to stay alive. They do still, however, have some support ultimates.
Well, Pharah has Barrage, Doctor has Valk, and Snarky has Deadeye. We've seen how deadly Snarky can be with that Deadeye.
Indeed we have, though. We also see the swap off of the main tank for Reaper now.
Well, I mean, the monkey. You deal with a monkey and a Hammond by shooting them in the face.
Indeed, the mines coming in is going to find people a bit split off. Hiccup losing the mech to the mines. And this is going to force CPU to start fighting on the point. The Witcher coming in with the barrage, but the bubble for XD is going to pick up the kill here. The rest comes in as well, however. Transcendence is going to keep everyone alive. The Witcher with the boop and with the rockets finding 2 up at the moment. XD and Architect on the point, trying to do whatever they can to stay alive here.
Well, Kenny gets
Waiting
still
for the
alive
team
as
to
well
come back.
themselves.
Doctor so low on health is going to manage to make it out. Snarky also still finding picks. What Is Life is going to take the pick up. What Is Life taking a very defensive position inside. They're not really gonna get picked off until the Witcher does find him. He manages to get Doctor in the process, however. BBC Radio also coming back. Hazy too with high charge. Zarya trying to stay alive. It's not going to manage. XD jumping in. This is just stagger picks after stagger picks.
I mean, only one can come in at a time, and they're just gonna die straight away. Point flip comes in, and it's 99.99. Someone has to touch.
Kenage now indeed taking Sanctum here on Nepal, making it a 1-1 for Nepal.
So we're seeing that, yeah, Kenegate can actually run this DPS into goats pretty damn well.
Indeed they can.
Which we might see, that might force TPO Esports to run DPS themselves.
Indeed, we are seeing a short pause due to some technical difficulties. However, it is going to be, I have to say this correctly, Sanctuary Shrine. That is the one. Shrine. I do remember my map names. Do not worry about it. And I'm wondering whether we'll see swaps. XD, in my opinion, looking a bit stronger on the Reinhardt than he has on the Winston, though the Winston still being very serviceable.
Well, the bubble on the barraging fire, that was nice. That definitely saved some of his teammates from falling foul of that.
Indeed.
But yes, I would say probably for this you will see the swap of the Winston. It could be that they just want to try and jump in the backline and eliminate, but the thing is, Lucio's, they're pretty hard to catch. They can be some slippery fish or frogs. And Mercy, they can just kind of Guardian Angel away.
Indeed they can. It is keeping in mind that both of these teams are pretty close together. They're both around 3.1, 3.2k in rating, and both of these teams won their first two matches 3-0, so it should be a pretty close game, as we are currently already seeing with the 1-1 on Nepal.
But it'll be interesting to see if we maybe have a 3-0 or maybe even 3-2.
Indeed, it could be a very long series here for these two teams to play against each other. Both teams showing interesting styles, especially Kenegay kind of trying to stay off the goats here, going for the more DPS-oriented compositions, while TPO indeed more goats-oriented.
Yeah, they're sticking to goats. They're not being swapping to DPS, and I think if they do, it will be kicking and screaming, and digging their heels in the whole way. But if it works, it works.
Indeed, if it works, it works. Though that works as well. Chinu finding a very early pick on Hiccup, which is indeed the opening that you see. Kenegay now pushing in, the anti-nade comes in as well, though what is live proving very valuable on this Zenyatta, finding Doctor in the process, though Mick putting in a lot of damage with the Reaper. That's going to be XD just booped off Chino with a lot of boops, and it's going to be Kenegay taking first point here.
Snarky just seems to be an expert at eliminating TPO Esports' backline. Picks the Lucio off almost immediately as soon as he sees him.
Indeed he does. We are seeing some swaps now going for the Winston Diva. Taking away the Zarya, so amount of damage coming in is a bit lower. However, you're not really running into a goat's composition. Mick gets hacked, however, is gonna get jumped as he drops lower, but they do not manage to find the pick off. The mines come in, forcing TPO to kind of go around, though UFO gets picked off. XD just jumping this healer. This is going
Dogs is going for the rest.
Make an opening.
Oh no, he gives up his life for it.
Does give up his life for it, but UFO with the nano might get value out of it. Is going to get picked off again, however. And this is going to be TPO pushing him on point, getting pick after pick, and Chino now with a hack on him. It's not going to be able to get out, and at 50%, this is going to be TPO retaking the point.
Well, look at Kennedy's ult though. Like, Snarky's got Deadeye, you've got the nano, you can nano a Deadeye if you want and have it charged ultra fast.
And indeed you can. You can also nano a barrage and get a lot of damage, and though Hazy indeed with the Diva is going to be able to deny a lot of that if played well. So that is
they
what
could
they're
also
gonna have to play
hold
around.
on for mix ult. You saw it before earlier. It was a lot popular in the previous years, the Beyblade meta. A nanoed Death Blossoming Reaper.
And indeed, that being very popular. The Deadeye coming in right now, the hack as well on Mick. The Deadeye not really finding anyone. Does find indeed Hazy's mech, and that is the nano Beyblade, as you just said. It's going to pop out the Transcendence, so Snarky finding XD as well, which is again an opening. The Witcher trying to barrage, but gets hacked. And meanwhile, What is Life is going to just punch him out of the sky, or from the ground, as he cannot fly anymore. The Diva Bomb comes and does find Snarky, and BBC gets radio in the process. It's still looking to go TPU's way as they are jumping straight up into anyone who's trying to get back. Mick still pushing in some damage, but is going to be left alone with the rest of his team. Gonna start pushing back, and we're gonna see one more swap here on the side of Kenegate.
Well, you saw the third process in Kenegate. So you have Deadeye to get the Diva out of the mech. Then you nano the Reaper who can ult, and he can either force trans or get some kills. And then you have the Pharah ult in the hopes that trans will be up, and if Beyblade hasn't worked, then you'll get a team kill. But the hack comes down, and that's instantly ultimate tonight, and not even an EMP.
Not even to be just a normal hack, but Chino is going to drop in, and that with an EMP is going to find 3. The Witcher, however, does find a hiccup in the process. Chino almost managing to get out. Is going to get healed up. The Witcher is going to get taken up by Hazy, but the Nano Wrecking Ball is going to find a lot of value. Mine's coming in on point. It's going to make it very difficult for TPU to actually get any traction on point, though XD Haze a hiccup. XD still getting another pick here. Mick and Chino getting picked off, and that is going to be TPU Gaming, TPU Esports taking the very first map here on Nepal.
I mean, it was close, but it wasn't as close as it could have been. It wasn't 99-99 as we saw in the second map, but it was still close. Kenegate, they gave up that fight.
The TPO, as you said, with just completely cancelling that plan with a single hack.
And Kenegate, they throw 4 ults into it. TPO Esports, they don't throw a single one.
I mean, they did indeed pop Transcendence, I will give them that.
Well, okay, they did pop 1.
They did pop Transcendence, but 1 Transcendence for the value of 4 on the other side. That is a lot of value that you get out.
That could have been bad if that hack wasn't there, because it could have worked. You wouldn't have had anything to heal through that fire ult.
Indeed, though we will be going towards the next map, which will be a hybrid map. We're still waiting for the pick of the map.
Junkertown, I am saying.
Looks like it's going to be Junkertown, which we've seen in the previous series as well for Fiery Tail versus Reddit Plays. As we've said before, Bastion plays.
Well, we've seen Kenegate, they don't want to play goats if they can avoid it. So I'm sure we'll be seeing either some Pharah play with The Witcher 13 or some Bastion. Meanwhile, I think TPO Esports, as we've also seen, they like playing goats. It's comfortable, it's their comfort zone. They don't really want to move out of it, and they took first map, so they don't really have much reason to stop.
Indeed, TPO looking quite strong on the goats, however. Kenegate finding value for the DPS setups that they're running. Going for more of a classic approach here, though. Going for a normal competitive approach, honestly. Even classic being more dive heavy.
Do you think we'll see the Widowmaker come out then from the side of Kenegate?
We might see some snipers. We have seen the Hanzo in the very first map, so we might see that coming back.
But we'll see what the defense wants to set up with. I wouldn't trust what I see the attacking side lock in until it is game start, because yeah, it might be bait.
It can always be baited to just pick a few random heroes. It's going to be interesting indeed what is going to be on this map. Will we see more Bastion? Will we see more Pirate Ship? Will we see DPS? Will we see more goats? I would say first point, usually less goats heavy, goats not being the strongest pick there, so commonly seeing some other picks. So we might see the map throughout the map switching where the strengths of the team lie.
Well, I think the better question is, will we see point C?
Always see point C.
Okay, so we're seeing Bastion come out on both sides.
And at the moment we are, though on the defensive side, we do see a quite classic bunker cub with a Widow to be the backup.
Well, TPO have proven me wrong. They've vacated the goats. They've abandoned that ship and they have headed on to become some pirates. But it's gonna be a bunker with a Roadhog. I'm a fan of this. Big fan of this, because a Hog, he can just hook people into the Bastion's line of sight.
Indeed you can, and together with the Halt, getting the Halt hook combo in, then melting them down with the Bastion. Especially say a D.Va who can get hooked quite easily because she cannot defense matrix a hook.
Snarky's
So
looking for
this
picks,
is
but I
indeed-
think we're gonna see a swap off the Widow. No. Just gonna
We'll
sit a
see.
little bit. Look for a different line of sight. Oh, the pick onto Doctor!
Heck, indeed, with the early pick, that is one of the healers out of the way, and is going to be Kinege with a triple DPS with a D.Va as the main tank is going to be an interesting composition to have to deal with, but also to try and push it with. What is Live having already used the Immortality Field is going to be TPO setting up just in the back, and that is indeed Chino gonna get hooked by the Roadhog as predicted is gonna get melted down, and the mech now out of play, which doesn't really provide any tanks to really push in, but it's TPO still giving up some ground here.
They're being very defensive, very passive. They're just falling back constantly. That's another fallback now. They need to start pushing in on this.
It's Snarky now in the backline, does find Hiccup, and that is an opening pick. The Immortality Field is going to get forced out. Both snipers here on the crossfire gonna put in a lot of damage, though the rest comes in, so Hiccup is back to try and contest the snipers who try to get the backline done, but the Witcher on the Genji finding a lot of damage. The tank comes in, is going to get Mick as he pulls out the dragons.
But the dragons still come through.
BBC is going to kill himself in the tank mode, is not going to get helped up. Chino, however, is going to lose mech, but it is still Kenage here pushing the payload, getting a good crossfire in, and just getting behind, finding all of the value that they need.
Oh, Hazy's looking for it. He does. He gets the D.Va. He's
Gets
going to
to-
commit. He's going to ult.
TPO indeed finding more value. Hiccup with 2 picks, and Hazy indeed on the Roadhog with one of his own, and it's going to be the payload. It's still getting halted here, and they're not going to swap off this Bastion.
You have to wonder, when it's just that Roadhog, when it's just Hazy just kind of hiding behind one of that little stall there, right next to the payload, why didn't Kenage just push in? It's one Roadhog.
It is indeed one Roadhog, and Chino is gonna get halted once more, gonna lose mech early in this fight. Again, no defense matrix or anything. What is Live taking up a high ground position just to be a bit more defensive, using that high ground, though Snarky finding the win in the Widow battle. However, we are seeing trades. BBC Radio getting Chino and is gonna try to get res, but Doctor gives up his life for that as well. It's just stagger after stagger. However, we are gonna probably see some ultimates coming in soon.
Well, XD is proving to be a master of this Orisa Halt.
Indeed, the Nanoblade coming in. That is an Immortality Field coming in, but the bomb
Gets
finds the
two and a lamp, and the Bastion is out of the picture as well.
lamp. Indeed, Chino then picking up the third one that I called out, and with the Nanoblade, it was a lot of ultimates used, but that should confirm them to grab the first point here.
It took them a while, but it didn't get to the overtime bar, so it could have taken them longer.
Indeed, 3 minutes now left to get the second point take, and we're gonna see the swap to dive with a Sombra.
Well, I think Kennedy will just be breathing a sigh of relief that they don't have to go up against this Bastion again.
Beautiful. Finding an early pick on Hiccup here, which is an opening again to break through this defense. Though Chino gets anti-nated and drops a very low, still alive somehow. No, is gonna give up his
Loses
mech.
mech.
XD is gonna find the mech, however, is going to give up his own life for it. And the main tank out of the way. This is more holes at the defense. Though Hazy on the mini D.Va is going to find some value, is still going very aggressive. Eventually is going to get picked off by this Ana. UFO on the Ana providing a lot of offensive backup here, but it's still trades going in. Snarky trying to stay on point on 1 health is eventually going to get picked off. A bit of a stagger. Chino now
Chino's
getting hacked.
no, and stunned, and demate. I feel like Chino has been out of his mech for longer than he has been in it so far. You have
Indeed,
to
that
feel
is-
for the D.Va.
2 minutes to go, and that is another stagger. We should see Kenage at one point actually grouping up
Okay, well, the res does come in. Chino is back in the fight and his mech. That's a res out of the next fight.
Indeed, XD now jumping into the backline, looking for some value. He's gonna get force off. Doctor, however, with the Nanoblade, BBC, apologies, with the Nanoblade, finds one, finds two, is gonna get picked off by UFO eventually, though. We are seeing some trades coming in. XD as well giving up his life, and Hazy giving up the mech. Now the Diva Bomb comes in, and there's no defense for it. It's gonna find Architect.
Mix pushing the cut. All this time, the cut's being pushed.
That is not what you want to see. You've invested the Nanoblade, and you still lose that fight.
Yeah, the soldier was just stayed out of the fight, stayed behind the payload, and was pushing it steadily through.
Indeed. Now, Hiccup does have the EMP ready for this next fight, is going to be looking for it.
Well, there's not really much places that Kenage can stay out of the line of sight for this, so this could be a one big EMP.
Get in there.
They do use the EMP to just get Mech, who is using his Nano Visor, or his Visor I should say, which is now that the bomb comes in. They do find two picks in the process. UFO again finding this Genji just out of nowhere. And it's still 2 for 2 here, can't go anyone's way, but it does look like it's Kenage putting in a lot of value, though the Witcher using his blade here right at the end to pick up the last two is going to make it easy for TPO to gather themselves up. So the blade was, in my opinion, a bit questionable.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that they just wanted to confirm the 2 kills. It was getting kind of on the edge of time, and they just... I mean, the Genji can boot it up pretty fast, but yeah, indeed, it was a little bit of a for ult economy.
Indeed, it is.
We've seen the swap. They've gone to goats on the side of TPO.
Indeed, and BBC Radio fighting a very early pick. We're seeing the trades coming in again. The Witcher fighting what is live. Doctor rezzing UFO in the heat of the battle. And that is going to be a Sound Barrier getting pushed in on this. UFO dropping very low. Does manage to somehow stay alive long enough to put in the Nano. And it's going to be Mick trying to get the value on the Winston with the Nano here from UFO. Doesn't really manage to find anything. Is now kind of out of position. Chino as well losing Mick. Mick still gonna push on the payload. Is dropping very low. Does have the Discord Orb on him. He's going to pop Primal even. To get
Well,
some
if you want to
value
talk
here.
questionable ults, then there's a very questionable one.
Indeed, though the anti-nade comes in, finds a lot, and what is life is going to get picked up in the process. Though Snarky now as well, BBC Radio providing a lot of value on the Brigitte. Which
Snarky's
around the
gone
back
back.
line.
Doomfist, this appears to be his pick against goats.
Indeed it is. The counting down with 13 seconds left. The grab is going to come in. Is going to not really fight anyone. It's going to be 7 seconds for Kenage to get back on point to start. Try and push this. This is Diva Bomb coming in on point.
That's the
It's
zoning
gonna
out, and it
find
gets Mick.
Mick, who's just flying around. The blade comes in from Witcher. It's gonna force out the Shadow, doesn't get picked off by the Shadow, but it's gonna get picked off by the Fire Strike. Hiccup as well, getting Doctor out of the fight. And this is why it's very difficult for Kenage to still stay alive. The Diva Bomb on the point. XD with his shield up is going to keep his team safe. Chino is going to get charged and almost immediately getting dropped out of mech. Once again, Nick again with the stagger picks. And Azaria as well on point with very high charge, dropping low now however. Kenage still staggering onto point with a close spawn. However, it's TPU finding pick after pick after pick and is going to keep staggering. Chino finally getting picked off. Shadow comes in as well. And that looks like it's going to be TPO taking round 1.
Well, we saw point C, but we only got to see a little bit of point C. TPO just looking very dominant again. Like, you can see points of brilliance from Kenage. You've obviously got some really good blades, you've got some good Widow play, but they never quite managed to just dominate.
Indeed, not really. Also some ultimate management that was a bit off in my opinion, using some ultimates very late where they might not have provided the value that they could have in a full team fight.
Yeah, well, you could have used Primal at the end, but you'd already used it, so maybe it was the fact that he wanted to use it because he knew time was running out and he'd have to swap to the hamster and he didn't want to give it up.
Could be, but even then, I would personally find it a bit questionable to do that because the Primal provides so much value. If you've got the rest of your team to just boop the enemy team around, like you as goats, you want to stay together and just keeping them away from each other and then possibly picking off strikers could be a pretty strong strategy.
Well, not only that, but if you boop them off the payload, they're not going to be contesting, so you're going to get push.
Indeed, you are. It
And
looks
it's the
like
butt off round 2. We're going to see Snarky's Bastion versus BBC Radio 1's.
Indeed, we are. At least it looks like it will be. There might be still some swaps coming in. We will see.
I mean, you would hope that they don't have a solo. They do not. They do not have a solo healing Pities.
Indeed, they are going for the triple tank pirate ship. Still with the Roadhog, but also with the Diva, providing even more defense for the Bastion to try and set up a point. The Bastion is going to set up just behind point, however. It's going to drop very low, extremely early already.
Doesn't
The
force like
bunker
the
on
left,
both sides.
though. Snarky's down.
That is Snarky getting just hooked away and getting picked off. That is the immortality field also added away, so this is an opening to start pumping in a lot of damage and getting the picks off before Matisse gets his cooldown back.
Well, BBC Radio
However-
1's down, but that lamp means Architect can res.
Indeed it does. BBC Radio 1 is gonna get picked up again. The immortality field finally getting picked off, and the Witch is going to now get mowed down by the Sentry Turret form of BBC Radio 1. The rest comes in, however, also using up the immortality field. The BBC Radio 1 not really playing on the payload, just playing on different angles. The immortality field coming in just late as the amplification matrix is going to provide a lot of damage here for Kenegay to shoot through. Hayes trying to put people back with the whole hog, but it's not going to find a lot of value. Snarcy now with the typo is going to set up on payload and is going to force TPO to pull back towards their spawn.
Well, that's Kenogay just breathing a sense of relief. That looked rough for them for a moment there. That being said, What is Life is going to have an amplification matrix, and Kenogay, they're gonna have to just try and survive for it.
Indeed, the only defense in air quotes that they've got is the Valk from Doctor, which health healing wise does do a bit more healing than normally. However, for instant damage and for that burst damage, it might not, will most likely not be enough. Now, tank mode comes in.
Are they gonna invest a lamp?
They are going to invest an offensive lamp here. The hook comes in, the Witcher kills himself on the body of Hazy. And that is the amplification matrix coming in. XD finding Snarky here. The Pharah still trying to stay alive. The Tara comes in, however, is not going to find anything. Hiccup dropping low to it, however. The bomb now coming in, and with no shields is going to find it difficult to stay alive. But everyone manages to hide away just enough. Hazy still finding picks off here, however. The Pharah trying to stay alive alone for as long as she can, but it's not going to be enough. However, we still have Yuffie here in the backline, trying to stay alive for as long as he can.
They're contesting. Oh no, Snarky gets hooked!
UFO on point is going to invest the amplification matrix, the immortality field, but it's going to get picked off, and the pirate ship is going to keep sailing.
Well, they're gonna keep it. They're not swapping off from point B. You don't see that every single day.
Indeed, they are not. However, the defense is going to get a Widow here, with some swaps on the healer. Still going for the triple DPS setup with Mick on the Orisa as the only tank, so it's going to look like they want to get the crossfire in. As we said, BBC Radio on the Bastion, still kind of sailing away with his shield in front of him.
Well, they don't really want to jump down on him. He's putting down so much damage and being pocketed so much that the payload just keeps rolling.
Coming in, our bombers as well. The anti-nade on top of the payload is going to find a lot of value with the barrage. Is going to clean up both the shield and the bastion. However, the payload is still moving. There's 1 minute to go, and they give up the point.
That was a little bit of a let them know. Especially when you consider the fact that the Mercy rezzed the bastion in front of the entire team.
Chino now again with the tire just very late, as they already lost the point.
I think they're swapping off the Junkrat.
Team fight, but
I think we're gonna see a swap. We're not seeing
we're
a
not
swap.
seeing a swap. That was just a very late tire.
It
We are
could
seeing the
have
swap,
been a
however,
bad
on the
thing,
side of TPO to Genji Hanzo now as DPS. We're going to see a bit more dive-based composition to indeed get rid of all of these DPS. And Hazy is going to get the first pick off, which is Yufu trying to get the res. Is going to give up his life for it. Does manage to get the res off, but Snarky now is very much going to have to find a lot of value for this. Chino now finding the healers as Snarky indeed, proving that he can find value on this Widow, picking up 3 in that fight.
Okay, well, you want to talk questionable ults. That was a nanoed Orisa.
Yeah, that was indeed a Nano Darissa.
I'm not
But
quite sure the nanoed Orisa did very much. I mean, you did get picks on your side, but it wasn't really the Orisa, it was more your Widow.
Indeed, but if we look at this map here, we see this very bright yellow glowy square where the payload needs to go, and it is so close. So we're gonna see the swap to Goats. To just kind of stay in the payload, stay alive, and indeed Snarky is going to drop early. The rest comes in.
The rest comes in on the Widow, there's no rest for
though. The
Doctor.
Diva Bomb comes in as well. It's not going to really find anyone, though. Picks are coming off. The Witch, however, finds XD. So Snarky now getting picked off. The Bombas as well is looking very difficult for Kenegay here. Yufu trying to stay alive as best as he can, but he's going to get picked up by a Boop. The tank still just holding on for dear life, and Chino on the Hammond just flinging around the payload. Doctor coming in. On the Brigitte is going to get picked up so quickly. The Witcher trying with the barrage, but it's too little too late. And that is TPO taking another map, looking very strong here on Junkertown.
Yep, that is pretty much all you can say. It was pretty much TPO just from the very start.
And they look very strong in the direction of TPO.
Like you can, like I said, there are points of brilliance from Kenegay. But then you see like the little small things like the Junkrat tire, the earlier Winston Primal, the Genji blade.
Indeed, and a very
Little
unfortunate
mistake.
Charlie Niner that happened there on point B, as they were looking quite okay, but just not going on to point.
Yeah, well, we're seeing the Hanamura being said in chat for maps. So we're not gonna be going to France. We are going to be jetting off to Japan.
Indeed, to Japan, seeing the assault map coming in. Hanamura indeed being an interesting map to see as well. It could end up in a draw, so this might not be the last map. However, this is match point for TPO Esports. If they win this one, they win this series, and that will be then a Get Good EU day 4 for this afternoon done. So it is gonna right here on the line. So this is gonna make KDK quite nervous here as they go into this last map, as they looked a bit more shaky on the Junkertown there.
Yeah, well, you have to think, like, looking at the teams, you've got Kenegay, they peaked for an average team SR at 3.2k, whereas TPO peak at 3,290. Kenegay a little bit more experience as well. They were 5th in the intermediate group stages from the previous. But you can't really tell. TPO just kind of out in the lead at the moment.
Indeed, Kenegay trying some very interesting compositions, mostly DPS-oriented compositions, but not really finding the value for it. Like the individual play, you can see it is definitely there. Like you see, like people really getting value on the picks that they've got, but just the overall value that you get as a team just doesn't seem to be enough here.
Well, unfortunately, Overwatch, despite what many people say in quick play and the lower competitive ranks, is a team game. So yes, you can be absolutely amazing, you can be the best Pharah in the world, but if you go up against a team who are, as a team, coordinated and very good at what they do, then it's pretty sure that you're gonna lose.
It is indeed going to be very difficult to find the value if the team is really focusing you. So it's going to be interesting to see how Hanamura here is going to be defended and attacked. Actually, the attack now indeed going for Kenegay. But attack here going into a triple DPS style is actually quite strong here, especially say that the defensive team is running a Bastion as well, or going for a goods composition, getting that that crossfire in to really put a lot of pressure here on the enemy team. Though it does look like we're gonna see TPO going for the goats composition once more, looking quite quite strong on it, so I cannot really blame them for it. On attack, it's still waiting out. It can go any direction.
I think we're going to see the Symmetra strat.
We might do, though it might be some, well, debate.
I don't know. They do have a healer. They do have a support, and UFO8 not showing any signs of swapping just yet.
And
Nor do they have a Sombra to go scout out. So I think they're running with this.
it does look like they're running with it, and UFO then gonna probably look for the teleport straight to point.
Teleport comes
teleport
down.
indeed comes in, UFO going straight to point, but TPU recognizing it immediately, turning around and taking the fight straight to point. The turrets are already up, which is going to get Hiccup out of the mech. Turret still not down, though XD finds mech early on. UFO, however, on the Symmetra, finding some value. Pick still going in either direction. It's 3-3 now for both boys, though defense does have to stay alive for just a bit longer as they've got a longer run back.
They are like looking. No, Euphoria's down.
So indeed now a late pick on him, which is going to make this a bit more difficult, though the reinforcements are gonna have to come in. TPO pulling back a bit is going to give up some point percentage to try and group up and take a more favorable fight. Indeed, that is XD just going straight in with the charge. Manages to dodge mixed charge, but is dropping very low. Dragon coming in across point is going to split the team up just a bit. Is going to be What Is Life just out of the fight, and this is looking very strong on the side of Kinigay here with all these DPS picks.
Well, even only having a Moira as support, Moira can put down so much healing. If you play her as a support.
Indeed she can. Now we're seeing a swap on the side of TPO to a Hammond, interestingly enough.
They're keeping the Sombra, they're using the wall. This will be up for 15 seconds.
The Shatter comes in, and we've got Snarky just providing some crossfire, pelting us some damage from the high ground. XD gonna get charged, dropping very low. Graph comes in as well on point. The point percentage already taken up. Architect grabbing up a pick, but is looking very strong in the side of Kinigay. UFO getting 2 picks here again. Architect dropping eventually. Hiccup now on the Hammond, coming in to try and stagger BBC 1 as well. On the mate to stagger in. XD still on the Vine. The stagger picks are just gonna come in. The Transcendent as well is going to be invested here to try and turn this around, but there's no real picks coming in from the side of TPO Gaming. XD dropping once more. The Symmetra just providing so much damage. Shadow comes in, finds 2. Hiccup and Hazy gonna get picked off. BBC Radio in the corner of this point is gonna use the wall and ice block to stay alive for as long as he can, but the stagger picks is coming in one after one. XD now on the Tracer is trying to pick off the Witcher, but is gonna get healed up. Hiccup as well coming in once more. It's the stagger after stagger, but no picks
They're
coming in.
staggering so well. They're burning time off.
They are burning time off. It's still 5 minutes to go. It's still one after the other, but still no picks. Eventually this is going to catch up to them, and that is indeed going to be the point. Fully grabbed by Kinigay. Very overwhelming.
Okay, so I'm a fan of this. I'm a fan of the Symmetra strat. Even like you have the team, you have your defense team, you have them set up. You're thinking, yeah, okay, we're cool. They're gonna walk through this exact choke, or they're going to go through that tiny little window, and those are the only places they can come from. And then suddenly you hear that little buzz of a teleporter setting up, and you look behind you and you're like, oh, they're all on point. What do you mean they're all on point? And everyone's
indeed.
just scrambling to organize.
Indeed, the turnaround was quite quick. Wouldn't it be like a tactic, like if you see the Symmetra, you already should kind of start turning around as soon as you recognize that they do have a Symmetra?
Well, even then, if they do start turning around in anticipation of the teleport, you can just kind of feign it. Fake
You
them out.
can
Be like,
feign
we
it,
have a
but
Symmetra, we'll put the teleport here, you think that we'll all be going first, so you'll turn around. And then we'll attack your back. So it's a risky move, trying to
It's
deal
a
with it that way.
Risky move, though I would say that it would be a bit more valuable, as you would usually see the Symmetra going on point and setting up the turrets, providing a lot of value and extra damage, slowing people as well, which is a very undervalued mechanic of the turrets. Especially if you get all 3 of them, then basically you've got characters just not moving anymore. The defense is looking again with the triple DPS, and on attack we might be also seeing a Symmetra. That is kind of the question at the moment.
I believe so. They are running the Moira as the. But they have a Lucio though.
Lucio is going to provide boobs here. Hazy is going to scout it out to see what they've got. We might see some swaps.
I'm out of here.
We are not seeing any.
No, we're going to see
We
swap
are
onto
seeing-
Zarya.
The swap onto Zarya, but still with the Symmetra, however. They're just
Well, the bubbles are going to be a lot of value if you can get them at the right time.
XD is going to get booped around quite a bit. It's not going to be able to take up a good position. It's going to get a lot of damage onto him. It's going to drop early. And that is going to make it very difficult here for TPU to start moving in. Picks coming in for the Witcher as well. The teleporter was set up, but BBC Radio 1 gonna get picked off as well. We're gonna have to see whether they're gonna swap off this. No, they're gonna give it another go.
I believe. No, we're going to see the Rhine swap to Monkey. And the Symmetra swap to the Genji. I believe they want to try and dive Snarky.
They might try to, though. There we go. That is the final swap. It's going to be a double DPS composition, and Kinegay kind of forcing the enemy team to sort of play into their hands, going for the more DPS style compositions, as the enemy team is possibly more used to just playing goats.
Well, it's very hard to swap out of that goat's mindset and go back into playing DPS. Suddenly, the things that you're doing are completely different to how you would be doing if you're playing with goats.
Indeed, XD jumping in very far, doesn't really have any line of sight with his healers to get a lot of healing. He's going to get picked up very early. Snarky as well, finding some value. Is going to force TPU to go back once again.
Oh no, the stagger on the baby diva. And I mean, Hiccup didn't jump with XD. Neither did the Genji. If you want to execute a dive, you don't want the Winston to jump in on his own.
Get real.
Now with 2 minutes left, it's looking very difficult here for TPU, especially if we look at the top of the screen. Kenegade is having all of their ultimates up. Gonna have free reign for a fair few fights if they manage to use them efficiently, though we have seen Kenegade using excessive ults in the past.
Well, hopefully they'll have identified that problem and stamped it out by now.
Administered.
That is where the Nana comes in on UFO. Is going to be the make, trying to kind of push in the visor as well by Snarky.
Okay,
Nano, however, got
questionable
finding-
Nano on the Mei.
And they're not really finding that much value, though the Witcher does manage to find value with BBC Radio now out of the fight. And another pick taken, and with a minute 20 seconds left, TPU Esports is looking
Thanks for the assist.
a bit more out of balance now.
Just a little bit. I mean, they don't really know how to get through this choke.
And
If you send one person, if you have your Winston jump in, they're just gonna Maywolf out the enemy, your team.
That is a Diva Bomb coming in, does find Snark here, and the Genji Blade as well, though it's used mostly on the Wrecking Ball, no real value for the Genji Blade. Meanwhile, UFO is going to pick up 2 as the rest of the team tries to get in.
Toxic
this
gets
is
in on the
Doctor-
action and takes out BBC Radio.
Does indeed, and that is something we always like to see, the Battle Mercy just taking up some value with the Blaster, as a team fight is mostly already over.
30 seconds remaining.
Now it's looking very rough.
Time is running out.
It's looking very rough indeed with 30 seconds, actually 20 seconds now left. Is going to be last fight territory here. for
XD's gonna
TPU
have a
Esports.
primal. Hiccup's just gonna have to touch point, desperation time hamster.
Yes, indeed. Could possibly have jumped in a bit later. There's a bit more tap left. Sam Barrett comes in, is going to allow for all of the team to start pushing in, though the Nano gets used on Architect for some reason. Barrage comes in, is going to check out what is left. Dragon comes in from Hazy, and this is now 2 picks in favor of TPU now. The sleep, however, on XD is not going to provide that much value. For the Primal Minds as well on point is going to take up half of the space of the point. Snarky as well with the frontline Widows dropping very low, is going to get picked up by Hazy. TPU fighting pick after pick, and Mick now on the Anna is going to get booped off, and finally in overtime it looks like TPU is going to get this first point.
That was close. They have to have been nervous for that one.
And
The
they should have.
comms, I can imagine, would have been like, throw in absolutely everything you've got whenever you get it.
Now going into second fight, UFO with a right click finding an early pick on Hazy, though we do see the return pick where the main healer Mick gets taken out, but the Blizzard comes in on point. Nobody's really in it, but it's going to provide some space that nobody can really push in on.
They don't get a
Also-
pick from it though.
Indeed, however, we are seeing Snarky now getting picked up. UFO again with the picks on the mages, finding so much value here with the freeze gun and just slowing the enemy down and just getting off the pick after pick.
Shut down.
Witcher has just free reign at the moment. Hazy not able to shoot this far down.
Indeed, not really. We're still seeing this triple support goats-ish dive.
It's a
kind of-
hybrid. It's the mishmash of all of the compositions.
of
I
different
will not
goat
waste this
styles.
opportunity.
It's like they asked themselves, what composition do you want to play? And they responded with yes.
Indeed, that is some of what it sounds like, but the dive can provide a lot of value if you manage to dive the right targets, though Hazy dropping low already. We're gonna see Hiccup going for the point very early. XD, however, going for the high ground where you've got a fair few squishies set up. The Chino is there as the Reaper to provide some value. Mine's coming in on point, is going to get a pick off on Striker who got booped off. The Death Blossom coming in is gonna get shielded off, not really finding any value with the anti-nade. It's gonna force out the Wraith. Hiccup still finding a late pick with the mines on Doctor, however, Snarky just proving very valuable with the Widow and just cleaning up here for the point, pushing TPU back once again.
So XD, he pops his primal, yes. He pops it on the high ground to get the squishies. He then uses it to try and follow Mick, and Mick gets all the way to the health pack that you see on the right side, but he doesn't finish up the kill on the Ana. He sees that his team are on trouble on the point, and so he abandons his chase for the Ana
I'll keep you healed.
and falls back to point.
Indeed, what is live throwing in an early anti-nade, but no real follow-up, so that's just going to get healed up quite quickly. The vision is coming in now for Snarky here to know exactly what the enemy team is doing, and it does find XD kind of out of position. The Zarya bubble comes in to bail him out, but the Blizzard is going to start freezing everyone very quickly, and it's going to be one more fight looking very strongly in favor
XD
of
gets the
Kenegay.
kill. He gets the kill and the Mercy Doctor is down.
But this point, especially now being very defense favored, getting back for defense is just a bit faster than it is for attack. So while it is an opening, it also kind of isn't.
And he has to give up his life to get the Mercy as well, so they can't even move in on it.
Indeed, now again with 40 seconds left, looking very difficult for TPO to find value here on the second point on Hanamura. And this is a time bank that you are gonna have to be fighting against. The wall comes in, is going to split off the team. And XD is going to drop very early here. That is the main tank out of the fight. And with 25 seconds left, that is not what you want to see happen. Hiccup trying to jump here on the high ground for the Widow is dropping very low. Is gonna lose his mech for it. And that is even more resources just pushed in. And with 12 seconds left, someone has to gotta come in pretty soon.
They're not going to be able to. XD's going to have to jump onto the point.
With no real value. Samberry coming in as well, though. Cheeto now gonna get picked off. The Witcher gonna barrage, but Snarky and UFO still finding some return picks, and the Blizzard coming in on point is going to make it very difficult for anyone to set a foot in the point. They do manage to kind of stay alive for just a bit longer. XD and Hiccup just trying to contest the point for as long as they can, but they're just gonna get picked off one by one, and overtime ticking down is going to give this map to Kenegay. That's
And
going to
now-
make it a 2-1.
We have a series on our hands. Actually, he tried his little monkey heart out at the end. He tried jumping, but what comes up must unfortunately, for his sake, calm down. And then be returned to spawn.
Indeed, it is first map now going to Kenegay, which will then bring us to a fourth map. Still keep in mind, this is still in favor of TPO, who are now ahead 2-1, so still match point for TPO Esports. And the next map will be a hybrid map, which should be either Numbani or Eichenwald.
Well, the map is switching, so I believe we are heading to Eichenwald.
Indeed, it looks like it is going to be Eichenwald, which again, TPS compositions can work, though it becomes extremely difficult on the third point.
The first point, yes. I mean, it's not uncommon to see the Pharah use the tower on the first point. You just fly around it, hide behind it as cover, get some picks off. That can work, especially either offensive or defensive, but we do also sometimes the Bastion defense, a little bit of bunker at the back of the point, or if you go with the proper Batiste bunker, then you can try and get some crosshair damage in, as well with maybe a Widow or a Hanzo as a second PS perk.
Indeed, it could be. Though, however, as we see it, still a lot goes still also strong on this map for both attack and defense, depending on
Indeed, but we've
what you're
seen
playing.
the teams have a certain, well, Kenige at least, have a certain reluctance to play this free composition. Can't blame them. Goats, although it is quite effective, can also be quite stifling for players, especially those of the DPS variety.
Indeed, it can be. Though, it also indeed kind of depends on map. And Hanamura, indeed, with all the crossfire and a bit more control on how you get to play the map, playing the triple DPS becomes a bit easier there, as the map lends itself to it a bit more. Though Eichenwald, while still possible, especially the Pharah picks, can be quite strong, it is still anyone's game here on Eichenwald.
See, I would say it's a little bit defense favored, mostly because the attackers have to get through the first choke, and that is notorious for being one of those really annoyingly hard chokes to get through.
Yeah, it is indeed difficult chokes to get through, and especially on defense, defending it with multiple DPS is going to allow for the attacking team to just kind of go through this little gate here at the front.
We're not seeing the standard goats, though. We're seeing the Pharah come out, seeing the Widow come out, and we're seeing the Monkey stay out.
Indeed, and this can be a very good and very interesting composition, sort of divey composition with the Widow and the Pharah providing some value in the background. But we've seen Snarky putting in a lot of effort on this Widow and putting in a lot of value here as well.
Well, I thought for a second Nick would maybe stay with the Soldier. We did see him play it in Junkertown. He's going to play it. I think they know that there's going to be a Pharah that they're running into.
They indeed might, though, so this is going to be BBC Radio's task to play defensively enough to not get picked off, because he's going to provide a lot of damage coming in here. Hiccup also with the burst damage, but still the Pharah rockets are going to do a lot here.
BBC Radio are going to have to contend with a Pharah, a Widow, and a Soldier, whereas Witcher only really has the Pharah and the Widow to deal with.
That being said, however, Hiccup does manage to deal with the enemy Widow. Is going to provide a bit of an opening for BBC Radio 1 to get some more damage in. They're also going to just kind of dive into the Abyss to push in a little bit of damage, but XD is going to give his life for it. That is an opening, and that is a pick that you do not want to lose. What is life also getting picked off, as the Witcher is just going into the backline, doing work, finding Architect as well. That is both healers out of the fight, which is going to make it very difficult to hold on to this point. Hiccup still trying his best to get some value in, but it looks like this is going to look very strong in favor of Kenage Gaming here on Kenage here on first point, and it's going to be 1 tick, 2 tick, and it's going to soon be 3 tick. Hazy actually going for the contest together with Architect.
This. I mean, it's a shame that XD jumps in, because XD jumps in and he gets mowed down immediately. If maybe you had that Winston as backup for your D.Va, you could have been able to hold that.
Indeed, you could have, though this is going to be the point take now for Kenage, so the payload is gonna start rolling, which does make it a bit more difficult to find your precision, because you're gonna need someone on the payload to keep pushing that payload. So where you had on Assault a bit more freedom to kind of have everyone go in the direction that they want to go, now you need someone on the payload, so getting that crossfire is gonna be a bit more difficult.
Hiccup goes high, looks for the shot, doesn't quite find it.
He does not. Snarky dropping quite low, and we're seeing Mick here on the high ground using his visor, and Nano comes in as well, though the Transcendence gets popped for the Nano Primal Monkey, which is not really how you want to use that ultimate. Mick finding some value here with his rockets and his visor, and this is the payload still not stopping and still continuing towards this third point.
Well, I think that could have been a little bit of a miscommunication on TPO's part. Like, yeah, like you said, you don't want to nano a Primaling Winston just like you don't want to pop Primal when you're nanoed. It could be that the Winston said, I'm going to pop Primal after I've been nanoed, or nano me and then once inside I'll pop Primal. But it does indeed get used at the same time, and that is painful.
The payload is inching closer towards the capture point, and with the 4 meters left, they're going to go towards it. The Death Blossom comes in, is gonna get picked off. However, after that, the barrage comes in as well. We're seeing picks for both sides, though UFO manages to get to himself and gets out as well. Hiccup losing mech in this free here, and it's only just a few people left on point to try and defend this.
TPO are kicking themselves right now. That was a Mercy on a silver platter, and they don't finish her off.
At this point, you kind of have to expect TPO to start switching. Indeed, we see XD going back into spawn, probably going back to the Reinhardt, which now is going to provide a bit more value as this last point, very enclosed, usually kind of goes up.
But we're seeing Kennedy just stick with the DPS.
And finding value for BBC Radio getting picked up early, though the Graf is gonna fight to the bomb, however, comes to the backline. What is life is gonna get picked off, and Hazy trying to stay alive, but with no one around to help him, he's gonna get picked off, and Hiccup is gonna get staggered out. And actually not gonna get staggered out, they're just gonna straight up clean this up, and the payload is just going to keep moving, not having stopped after it got captured.
Well, they don't want to chance the D.Va as baby just contesting that pillar, but look, they invested Grav into a lost fight. Oh, TPO.
Now Mick coming in with a visor, Snarky trying to get on point. XD somewhere just out of position is going to get picked off here by the visor, and that is your main tag out of the way. It's going to force out Trance to just make sure that the team stays alive so they can start pushing back, but no one is really dropping low enough. Doctor eventually is going to have to pull out Trance as well, which is going to make it very difficult to find value. XD on the Roadhog actually picking off the Witcher during the barrage. The Graf comes in, is finding a lot of value. Hazy just melting them down. Snarky trying with the Death Blossom, but it's not going to be enough, and that is indeed TPU finally stabilizing here on this last point.
Well, I mean, I think with the Reaper ult, I would hope that they only throw it in because there would be a swap off. I would hope, but it looks like my hopes are dashed because the Reaper is staying.
Hiccup dropping quite low at the moment. I'm gonna get the mech back. XD actually staying on this Roadhog, trying to find some stragglers and just do some damage and possibly boop some people away. It is a bit more difficult versus the Reaper. It's an interesting pick nonetheless.
I mean, I hope it works out for him because if it doesn't, it's just gonna feed so much ult to Snarky.
Indeed, it is. Snarky now behind the point is forcing Hiccup to use his defense major. He's gonna manage to find his way out with just a bit of health. Rally coming in as well. Now the D.Va bomb, and with no shield, everyone has to hide, and that is a lot of damage that you now find. Chibi with the D.Va bomb finds Hiccup's mech, though XD also finds mech during his visor. Kinnigan now pulling back. Doctor dropping a bit low is gonna be in the front line, weirdly enough.
Channeling his Jonak wants to build that trance.
Is gonna get punished for it. XD with the hook is just gonna pull him away from the rest of his team, and that is a stagger pick that is gonna make TPU kind of clap their hands and just make it a bit more comfortable right here. Is gonna also find the hook
onto
on
Chino.
Cheeto. Is not gonna really find the pickup, though. We see the teams now kind of gathering up ultimates in abundance, though. Snarky getting picked up by XD. Again, XD finding so much value on this Roadhog. Snarky now getting in the backline after getting res with the Death Blossom, is probably looking to get it. Hiccup dropping very low once he gets his defense matrix out of the way. That is the Transcendence coming in at the same time as Snarky uses Death Blossom. That's going to deny completely XD as well with the picks.
Oh no, the dragons
both of
get
the
eaten!
healers. Dragons get eaten. The Witcher does find the pick on XD, who's just a bit out of position, but it's too little too late. All of the picks have already gotten taken.
XD is showing that Reaper isn't a counter to Roadhog, Roadhog is a counter to Reaper.
XD finding so much value, getting the hooks in and just managing to find the stragglers and just finding the people who are just a bit out of position and getting the picks off.
DPS has been working for Kenegate, but they need to switch at the moment. The composition that TPO are running just has so much sustainability.
Indeed, and another hook. Doctor gets picked up. That is another pick that you want to push in. A rally comes in to give the team just a bit of an edge. It's Chino now on the Hammond, but XD with another hook on the Witcher. Oathful is trying to go further west. Is going to get picked up by What Is Life, and that is a whole hog just pushing the team back. And with 5 seconds left, is going to be very difficult. Chino is going to look to try and get back to the point. Dragon coming in straight over point. BBC Radio taking the brunt of it, but is staying alive. Chino is still on point with a little bit of health. Doctor trying to get in, trying to stay alive for as long as he can. Overtime taking down Yufa, trying to just Guardian Angel onto point. Everyone just staggering in, then getting staggered picks. The barrage comes in, Diva Bomb as well. It's going to pick up Snarky. That is overtime. Taking down Tracer, trying to get there. Is going to make it.
This just staggers stuff. It's one by one.
Forced to recall, and Mick indeed now trying to get staggered, but overtime taken down, and TPO finally managing to pull back here on this last point.
One by one they came, and one by one they fell. I want to know why XT wasn't on the Roadhog before.
Indeed, the Roadhog providing a lot of value here for TPO Esports.
Those hooks have been on point.
Like I said, just finding the stragglers and getting so much value for it. Just everyone out of position, just getting the picks off.
Well, you can't rest someone if they've been hooked into the enemy team. You don't want to, because it would be suicide.
Indeed, it would be. So you are indeed then already down one person, almost guaranteed.
Do you think we're going to see goats then? Do you think we're going to see 6-6? Or do you think we're going to see DPS again? Not that I'm complaining, I do like DPS.
Ready for battle.
Indeed, the DPS for Kenegay looking very valuable, but it does leave indeed some loopholes. XD teasing that he might stick with the Roadhog is actually going to swap off back to Reinhardt, and now on the defense. We're gonna see Kenegay still going indeed with the DPS picks.
This time running a Junkrat.
Sam indeed running a Junkrat with the Pharah and the Sword is going to put in a lot of damage.
I don't know how well this Junkrat is gonna mesh with this Zarya though on the side of Hazy.
That is indeed the question, as well as the Pharah is going to provide a lot of charge for the Zarya. And is it enough to really break through? Like, you can possibly break through the shields, but would it be enough to get the picks off?
Well, you also look at the supports that Kenegay are running, and they have nothing to deal with the grab.
Indeed, XD getting Boop back is going to charge in to get the back to his team. Getting slept, however, quite early is forcing out a bit of a bubble. Boop comes in, is going to split the team up just a tiny bit. They're going to just go straight in. XD with the charge onto Doctor is going to get picked up, but that is one of the healers gone, and the res added away. The Witcher dropping very low with the Discord Orb on his head, though Hiccup is going to give up his mech. The Witcher still flying above this point, just low, but somehow still surviving, even with the Discord Orb. Nobody really dealing with him, and it's Kenegay is getting pick after pick, and even after that initial pick is going to be still point going to Kenegay.
They're not firing the Mercy back. In fact, yeah, no, Doctor actually comes back as Lucio. That was what was throwing me off. That was a nice big frame play. Knows you don't get back in time for the fight as Mercy. Swaps to the Lucio.
Indeed. XD, however, going to see if he can get as much value as he got on his defense. Going to swap to the Roadhog.
He's looking for that hook onto the Witcher.
He's dropping very low. He's gonna have to get healed up and gonna use his breather. The What Is Life is gonna get picked up quite early. The Tower is gonna pick up Architect. And this is looking once more very strong in favor of Kenegay. He's gonna force TPO Esports to start pulling back here. The hook comes in, Chino just a bit out of position. XD gonna stay alive with his take a breather ability.
Oh no, the Lucio gets hooked.
Doesn't manage to get the pick off, but
Doctor manages the boop.
this is why he wants to play this Roadhog. Just already getting that fear into the enemy of possibly getting hooked out. Like, they cannot play as freely as they probably want to.
They don't
another
have
hook
it-
comes in, and that is the pick that they were looking for. Snarky getting picked off. The tactical visor, however, coming in with the nano, pulling out the Transcendence, going to keep the team alive. He's also going to use the Transcendence to clear up some mines. XD now rotating around. What is life, however, is going to get picked up by the Witch, who's just going to get into the backline. BBC Radio dropping as well. The barrage coming in. Eventually, the Witch is going to get picked off. Finally, the Pharaoh's out of the sky, but not after finding a lot of value. Hiccup still trying to stay on point, but it's still Kinigay taking pick after pick.
Oh no, the baby Tifa. Are they gonna let her get off the map? Nope, they're gonna boop. Oh, the humanity.
Now with 1 minute and 10 seconds left, TPO have start to come out with a good plan to start moving in. They do now have some ultimates coming up, especially this Grav and this Whole Hog can provide very much of value. As you can whole hog people in a Grav and just do all of the damage without actually pooping them away.
Snarky's got another tire. XD though, he has a whole hog. And
Gravity
Can
now
I get
coming in
nothing
on the
to do with the
backline.
Grav?
That is going to be Mick taken out. However, the Sandberg gets picked out. The tower finds two, however. The whole hog not really providing much value. BBC Radio does get the Snarcy in the backline, but it's not going to be enough. Hiccup indeed going for the reset as well. The BBC Radio finding the Doctor quite late, and this is still a window that they might be able to push in on. Though Doctor on the Lucio can come back quite quickly. This is a tiny window that they could potentially make use of.
well, they need to speed onto point. And that's gonna slow things down.
Nature, that is another nano visor coming in. XD missing his hook onto Mick here. Though Snarky dropping very low, dropping to one architect is gonna get the pick off. Though the mine's gonna get a lot of value, and the Witcher still with this Pharaoh just finding all of the value getting to free roam even without a mercy, just proving that an uncontested Pharaoh is something to not really something to really find a lot with. And this is Kanagay getting Eichenwald with a very solid full hold on point A.
And that takes us to 2-2.
That does indeed take us to 2-2. And that is going to take us to the tiebreaker map, which is going to be one
I have
apologies, one of the control maps. So it should be either Lijiang Tower or Oasis.
well, I'm going to guess, judging from popularity, that it's going to be Lijiang.
Lijiang indeed. Played a lot. Generally
Universally
preferred.
loved, and especially if Witcher is on the Kennegae side, because Lijiang is kind of Farah's playground.
Yes, indeed. Now, Lijiang is gonna be the map that we will be playing on soon. We'll take a minute to get into the map, but Lijiang Tower indeed with 3 maps indeed. We've got the Night Market, we've got the Gardens, and we've got Control Tower. Now, if we look at how these teams have been playing, I would say that it's kind of looking a bit more in favor of TPO.
Yeah, I mean, Control Tower is heavily regarded, but I think if we do see Gardens, then it might fall to Kennegae's advantage, because Witcher 13, I would say, has shown himself to be the stronger Farah.
And indeed he has, however, Night Market also being a heavily coach played map. Getting to triple DPS, especially if the enemy team is on point, getting that crossfire in, usually I would say is quite difficult to get from that point. And the Control Tower as well, being a closed off point, being able to play in those hallways, is just going to be difficult to begin with the DPS picks. Though Gardens indeed, I would personally say that Kennegae have got a bit of the upper hand.
I would even say possibly leaning towards Night Market as well, because Chino has shown himself to be quite a very good Hammond. And if you play Hammond the right way, get behind the enemy team, or if when they're on point, you just sort of grapple up, and in that tiny little door on the side that they have to go through, just manage to push them a little bit involuntarily off the map, where they will fall to their deaths, and that tends to be a pretty good strategy that you do see run quite a bit.
I mean, that would be a thing, though. You would hope that the teams would learn from this, that might happen once that they get booped off, and that at that point, most teams tend to not really go around the outside as they see a Hammond or potential for boops, and then just going for main. At that point is being able to just get on point without being scared of the boops. So you are a bit in the open temporarily for, say, the sniper or the Pharah fire. But
Okay, well, I will change my answer to this. The night market's advantage will go to whoever gets the point on night markets first. That's fair, right? I'm allowed to say that. Because the people who do not get the point have to tend to do that little high ground wraparound where they have to drop down, and if they don't drop down correctly, then one half of their team's up and half of their team's down. It's
indeed,
hard to get back on point
Well,
if you.
we will see it quite early, as Night Market is the first map that we will be seeing here on Lijiang Tower. And this is going to be match point for either team. Both of the teams now, it's just 2-2 for TPO versus Kenage. And this is match point for either. One of these teams is going to get the win out of this one.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Chino is probably going to be on the hamster, and I'm going to be completely proven wrong in about 5 seconds.
Well, I wouldn't put it past him, and indeed it looks like he might be picking the Hammond indeed. We might still see some swaps. This is always with the preparation that you never know what exactly is going to happen.
Well, I hope Hiccup stays on the McCree. The Farah has proven to be a pain in TPO's backside, and maybe now they've identified it, they're going to do something about it.
Indeed, though it does look like Hiccup might be swapping back to the Diva once more, though they're gonna have to play around this Pharah. Though if they manage to get to point, Pharah doesn't have that much space to try and get away anymore. Leaving the Pharah for just all of the space to just fly around, that is kind of where the danger lies.
Well, there's two ways this is going to go. Kenage are going to see the composition TPO are running, and they're either going to go back to spawn and swap to free for themselves, or they're going to push in, and they are indeed going to push in.
TPO just setting up on point, Chino trying to boot them away from each other, but not really managing to do so. The Witcher getting a fair bit of value though with the Discord Orb is going to be picked up by Hiccup, and that is an opening pick that TPO is looking for. Though Chino with the boots is going to almost move some people off, is not actually going to manage to. Hiccup going to follow that through, and Chino is gonna get picked up here as well. Though Doctor in the backline is gonna actually get the wrestle.
There have been some very questionable reses that have been happening this match, and Mercies need to be punished for those questionable reses.
Chino not coming back on point and is still just kind of poking a bit. Chino already with the mines can provide a lot of value here for the point. XD dropping quite low, the anti-nade coming in. XD looking for a charge, gets slept however, the mines coming in on point. The tire as well is going to go into the backline. Is not going to find anyone, however the Witcher with the boot is going to find what is life, and with the barrage is going to get a lot of picks, finds 3 here. The Witcher here with a lot of value, though however they do also put in the nano visor, which might just be a bit too much. They use 5 ultimates to just get the point flip.
Okay, I'm going to defend the Ana for Kenage. I'm going to say that that nano visor was a distraction so that Witcher could get all of the value and not be focused on when he pressed Q.
I mean, it could be though at that point you already had so much value that you already put in. But we are gonna see TPO trying to push back in.
No.
However, the mines of Snarky, just so much damage in the backline, is going to pick up 3 early on, and Chino just going along with it. And that is just a free fight here for Kenage without using anything.
Well, now they have a chance to build up ults. Chino already nearly at another set of mines. Snarky already nearly at a tire.
However, what is live now coming in with the Transcendence, and we are gonna see TPO coming up for some ultimates here.
Well, I would hope that they would try to win them and throw in some ults. And if that doesn't work, maybe it's time to think about switching.
Indeed, what is live?
Oh no, the boop on the right to separate him from his team.
Mostly what is live not being able to get behind the shield, and that is indeed what is live, and XD just kind of getting booped away. They do need to get through this point together every single time, but Chino just pulling them all apart. The Witcher now indeed with the boops, and this is going to be TPO resetting once more, and the counter now going up to 75%.
And look at Kenage's ults. Nick's already almost at another visor. Witch has already got a barrage up. UFO has got another nano up. It's not like he's got the turret. Chino's got the mines. They only invested the Valk.
Indeed, XD now, however, on the Hammond as the main tank is going to boop in quite quickly. Chino not being able to get his initial boop in, does manage to get a bit of separation, though What Is Life just completely away from his team is going to get picked off, and the barrage comes in. However, the Diva Bomb as well is not going to find anything. Overtime is going to start ticking down. Architect trying his best to just get Doctor out of the way here, does manage to do that. However, BBC Radio on point together with Architect is trying to stay alive for as long as they can. The turret coming in, Architect trying to stay alive for as much as he can, doesn't manage to. The turret picking him up. The Transcendence comes in, allowing for What Is Life to get back on point just in time. Hiccup now back as well. What Is Life going to give his life for it. The graph coming in, and it's picks on either side. It is still going in any direction, though.
The Mercy gets the res off Doctor again!
With the res, the Witcher just getting so much value on this Pharah, not getting countered whatsoever. It's gonna get picked up once more, however. The character just trying to get up. Overtime still ticking down. Chino's gonna eventually get picked off. We're gonna see a swap to Demora now, but
this
it
could
is indeed
finally be some point percentage for TPO.
finally the point swapping, and that is some stagger picks that is going to cement this point a bit more for TPO.
Okay, do you know what I want to see? I want to see Hiccup off this Diva and onto the McCree. They need to deal with the Pharah.
They do need to deal with the Pharah. Though What Is Life now on the Mora is going to possibly find some value on that as well. Hazy kind of out of position is gonna have to try and get back. Does manage to get the jump in, and we're gonna see the dive coming in a bit on the backline. Valk is getting popped now by Doctor, who's going to provide a bit more healing and a bit more damage. So he's going to use it to just kind of use his blaster to shoot at Hazy. Both mines get popped. Chino finding a bit more value, or I should say Kinegay finding a bit more value for their ultimates, though it is still anyone's game. A barrage comes in again, the Witcher just going nuts here on the Pharah. And
They need to counter him. And they're not.
indeed, overtime ticking down once again.
Lovely
the pulse bomb
onto
gets
UFO.
UFO. That is an opening that TPO is looking for. However, the Witcher and Mick just getting value after value. The rest coming in once more. XD just rolling in. The Hiccup blasting away, but the tower is going to be very difficult to deal with. Does manage to not really find anything. What is life?
It gets Witcher.
Out. Hiccup finds the Witcher, but nobody is on point, and Kinegay is going to take the first round here on Night Market.
Okay, if we see Gardens, I have said it before, I'll say it again. I want to see this Pharah counted, but I mean, they don't have to worry about it. Pharah not so strong on them. Too many ceilings. But
On
I
Control
think
Tower, though Pharah also, if we're talking about ceilings, has a lot of ceilings to deal with on Night Market, and the Witcher just getting to roam free, not getting picked off at any point, no focus on him, whatever, just walloping in damage.
And I think they identify this. They know Pharah isn't optimal on this map, but they know she's also not getting hard counted, so they're going to run it.
It does look like they will be running this.
You can see Hiccup on the Sombra, so I'm hoping that he's gonna just be trying to keep this Pharah hacked 24/7.
TPO indeed with, interestingly enough, a dive composition, which can work very well versus Squishies. They don't have any goats to deal with, so getting this Genji back in can be quite valuable if you manage to play it as well. Cheater dropping low is gonna get picked off early.
He went to
This
try
is-
and deal with What Is Life, but he finds a Winston for his trouble.
XD jumping in is gonna get anti-nated, and Doctor off of the rest is gonna get picked up by Hazy. However, Chino is gonna get picked up back alive. However, the hack comes in and is gonna get picked off here once more.
Questionable rest, very questionable, especially if you know that there's a Sombra somewhere around.
A very
Because you can think
aggressive rest.
maybe the Hammond can roll away, maybe he can grapple out. But if the Hammond is hacked, he can't do any of that.
Indeed, it's very aggressive reses, and now we indeed see some swaps as well to dive tanks for Kinegay. Though still with the Junkrat and the Pharah. Now the Nano comes in on XD. The Tara comes in as well. Doesn't really find
anything.
anyone. Hiccup does get Chino out of his mech. We are going to see some trades. BBC Radio and Architect fighting to picks TPO. Getting a bit of the advantage. The Doctor again with the res. Getting basically all of his reses off. XD in the Primal does negate the res and gets UFO back out of the point. The Blade, however, gets invested here at the end of the fight. It's only going to pick up a Snarky.
Oh, there is a hack onto Doctor. They managed to finish off the kill. Little bit of a stagger onto Mick.
Thank you.
A little bit of a stagger, and we do have Hiccup now with the EMP still ready. I would say the Blade was a bit questionable at that point.
I mean, you could have comboed that with EMP. I think they're gonna try and do a bomb combo with.
Can they try bomb combo though here on control point? Still quite difficult to get off.
Or indeed, like, I mean, look at Kennege's tanks, right? It's a Winston. Winston only really has the bubble to negate that Diva Bomb. If they manage to time it when the Winston's primaling, they don't have to worry about the bubble being put down.
Indeed, but the EMP comes in and finds Fern. Hiccup is going to get an early pick on Mick. That is the main tank out of the way, and the Witcher as well getting picked up by Hazy. Now, the fight going on the point. Doctor gets moved back, but not far enough to deny the res. Mick is back up. The Sound Barrier comes in. Gino now on the Reaper is going to pump in a lot of damage. Hazy getting forced out of the mech is going to pop. The bomb is going to return the favor to Gino. Getting the pick off. The Witcher trying to get back.
Finally gets slept in one of those barrages.
Indeed does, is not going to find any value, and Doctor trying to get the point, but a very convincing 100-0 here on Control Tower, and we still have anyone's game coming up.
Well, that was almost like we were watching a completely different team. On
Indeed
both
it
sides. There was no domination by the Pharah. There was not really much play from the Hamster on the side of Chino. Meanwhile, TPO, they just took it all in their stride. 0-99.
Indeed they did. Though as Kenny here on Gardens, you will probably be thinking that so far indeed the DPS have been so so much value for you that you might be feeling a bit more secure than TPO is.
Yep, I mean he's looking for that boop as TPO crossed the bridge.
Indeed, but
I
Hazy
managed to
with
find
the
anyone.
defense matrix is going to deny that. As Snark is going to get picked up very early, however Mick is going to get the trade for that, and Hazy dropping quite low, though the anti on Doctor is going to make that quite difficult. It's getting it picked up as well, but Mick indeed more value on this Reaper, just kind of jumping around and left clicking to victory with his shotguns, just providing so much damage, and it's going to be a very convincing first point take by Kennegeya.
We're seeing the Moira Mercy
Thanks for the assist.
matchup on the side of Kennegeya. Just Moira putting down so much group healing, Mercy just being able to really damage boost. And the res is so valuable. And Yuffie has, like, Doctor has shown that the Mercy doesn't really get punished. She goes for the res, she manages to get it off. Yeah, she gives up her life, but the res is still off.
Indeed. Though we do see a swap as well for BBC Radio to go to the McCree to indeed finally try to counter this Pharah. The Witcher dropping quite low. Both tanks getting picked up from either side. So now there's no space getting created, though Mick again just walking into the enemy and just lobbing in so much damage with the Reaper shotguns.
Snarcy, in the meantime, shows BBC Radio 1 that he is the better cowboy,
Not waste this opportunity.
and so Witcher 13 free to fly the skies. Small.
Architect also swapping to the Mora. We do have a nano bomb and the EMP coming in. I would probably expect the EMP bomb coming in pretty soon.
And possibly a nano onto XD.
Indeed, we would be Hiccup indeed getting
Oh,
into
that's the
the
whole
fight.
team EMP!
As a 6-man EMP, and indeed there is follow-up. Just using the EMP to try and get the value that they want to do. They find 2 picks, they find 4 picks now.
They do nano XD.
They do nano XD.
Not
However, that is-
entirely sure if it was needed, but it did confirm the kills.
And it does still leave you with a bomb, a primal, and a Deadeye to try and get some pushback going, and that is a point flip. However, it is 83%. So if Kinege manage to flip it back, TPO still have a fight left that they can group up and try and get the point back. So as we've said before, this is still anyone's game.
Exy just jumping straight in, gonna pop primal. Looked for the boop, get Snazzy!
There's indeed off the map now, so that is some value already that you're getting for a primal. However, dropping extremely low is gonna have to pull back. Hiccup is
Going to tactically fall off the map. It was the
really-
zoning death.
BBC Radio going for the Deadeye, finds the Witcher out of position though. Nick now with the Death Blossom and the High Noon coming in is gonna find 4 and a quick point flip again back to Kinege.
Well, they know that TPO are without a Sombra. They're going to push in on that. They're going to find value. Are
Indeed they
TPO
This
gonna
is
touch?
one last fight. BBC Radio trying to get to point as fast as he can. A Hiccup and XD in the backline. This is a triple tank.
Oh, Hiccup
set
dies
up that
before
they're
he
trying
can
to
EMP.
get in. Hazy out of mech, and the Coalescence finding so much value. Architect trying to get on point, but overtime is gonna start ticking down pretty soon. BBC Radio trying to get the value that is. Once the EMP comes in, finds 5, but is there
there's
going to
no
be
one
enough
there.
follow-up? BBC Radio 1 getting picked off, overtime ticking down, and that is Kinege taking the round, taking the map, and taking the series.
Yep. That was some impressive play from both teams.
Indeed it was. The reverse sweep for Kinege with some very solid play, showing that in these rounds at least, Goats is not necessarily the strongest pick, and doing work on this far. So there indeed with the last map going down.
Well, it's
That
a
will-
little. It's not a clean record now though. They don't have free O's. They have 2 free O's and 1 free T. But I don't think they're gonna care about that much.
Indeed, they might not. So with that, indeed, that was Get Good EU Week 2, as in day 4. We will be indeed wrapping up this this day for EU with some very good series that we got to watch and got to experience. If you're interested, go check out the North America Get Good later today for anyone from EU that's watching. Also, indeed, don't forget that if you've got a team, you can still sign up for the filler spots in case another team drops out. Links should be provided somewhere. So that will be us. So from me, Belly, and from my wonderful co-caster, Moxie, I will say thank you and see you around next time.